Have you ever asked the universe for a sign and wondered if it ever heard you? Maybe you whispered it in a quiet moment, in the car, on your knees, or staring at the ceiling at 2 a.m. Please, just show me something, anything. And maybe nothing happened right away. But what if the sign was never supposed to flash in the sky? What if it was meant to find you in this exact moment? There's a reason you stopped scrolling, a reason this video reached you. Not because of an algorithm, but because of alignment, because your soul has been calling for something, a whisper in the dark that refuses to be ignored. You've felt it, haven't you? That quiet ache, like your heart is trying to tell you a secret your mind can't quite translate. It's not madness, it's awakening. The world has taught you to silence that voice, to stay busy, to smile, to keep moving. But the truth is, you've been walking with invisible weight. You sense something is changing, but you can't name it. You look at the sky and it feels different. The air feels heavier, time feels faster, and deep down, you know you're standing at the edge of something sacred, a threshold between what you were and what you're becoming. This isn't a coincidence, it's a calling, and the question isn't whether the universe is speaking, it's whether you're finally ready to listen. Because sometimes the sign you're waiting for doesn't arrive with thunder or miracles. It arrives softly, like this, in words that reach you when you least expect them, in a moment that feels almost too perfect to explain. So, before you move on, take a breath. Listen. Not with your ears, but with that place inside you that still believes in meaning. Something is about to be revealed, and deep down, you already know it's meant for you. Have you ever had one of those days when the world feels slightly off? When the lights flicker just as a thought crosses your mind, or a song you haven't heard in years starts playing, the exact one tied to someone you can't forget? You tell yourself it's nothing, coincidence maybe, yet a quiet part of you knows better. Because deep down, you feel the pulse of something unseen, a rhythm beneath reality that seems to move with you, through you, and around you. Maybe you've woken up from a dream so vivid it clung to you for hours, as if it carried a message you weren't supposed to ignore. Or perhaps you felt an unexplainable heaviness in your chest right before receiving bad news. A sudden chill, a shiver that made no sense, moments that whisper, pay attention. The rational mind wants to dismiss it all, but the soul recognizes patterns too intricate to be random. There are days when you look at the clock and it shows the same repeating numbers, again and again. You see feathers in your path, lights that blink when you're lost in thought, strangers who say words you needed to hear but never spoke aloud. You brush it off because you were taught to, because the world doesn't like mysteries it can't measure, but something inside you refuses to stop noticing. You felt that strange pull, that gentle nudge in your gut, warning you not to take a certain road, not to trust a certain smile. And when you ignored it, you paid the price, didn't you? That inner voice, that flash of intuition, it wasn't fear. It was guidance. Something or someone has been trying to reach you all along, not from outside, but from the space just behind your thoughts, a place the world doesn't teach you how to listen to. Sometimes the signs don't appear as miracles. Sometimes they come as delays, detours, heartbreaks, moments that feel like punishment, but are, in truth, protection. You didn't lose that job by mistake. You weren't abandoned without purpose. Life rearranged itself in ways you couldn't yet see, so that you'd be forced to pause long enough to notice what's really happening. Every silence has been speaking, every pain has been pointing. You see, the universe doesn't shout, it whispers. And when the whispers are ignored, they turn into storms, not to destroy you, but to wake you. That's why you felt so restless lately, so uneasy in places that once felt comfortable. It's not because you're broken, it's because your soul is outgrowing the life that no longer fits. The signs aren't punishing you, they're preparing you. But there's something even deeper that few people ever realize. a pattern hidden beneath all these moments, connecting the dreams, the chills, the coincidences, and the losses. A truth that explains why you were meant to notice what others can't. And before we reach it, I want you to ask yourself one thing. If every coincidence you've ever experienced was actually a message, what do you think the universe has been trying to tell you all along? There is a truth that most people will never hear. Not because it is hidden from them, but because they move too quickly to notice it. The first great spiritual sign is not written in the sky, nor carved in sacred stone. It does not appear in the form of miracles or flashes of light. It begins within the quiet realm of your own awareness. The ancients called it the mirror of the soul, that strange, silent moment when you begin to feel that life itself is reflecting something back to you. Every encounter, every emotion, every challenge begins to feel strangely personal, as if the universe were speaking in code, using your own experiences as letters in a divine language. You've seen it before, a conversation that repeats the same sentence you've read earlier that day. A stranger who mirrors your own pain through their story. A symbol that seems to follow you, not for days, but for years. These are not random echoes. They are what mystics once described as the first sign, the mirror principle. It means that everything you experience outside of yourself is a reflection of something trying to awaken inside you. The anger you see in others, a part of your own unhealed wound, the love that feels impossible to reach, a lesson in how to open again, the rejection you fear so deeply, a mirror showing you where you've stopped believing in your own worth. In ancient temples, students were never taught to look outward for signs from the gods. Instead, they were guided to sit in front of still water, to watch their reflection ripple as the wind moved across it. Their teachers would whisper, "When the water becomes calm, the truth will reveal itself." That wasn't poetry. It was physics of the soul. Only when your inner world stops shaking can you truly see what the universe has been showing you all along. You see, the universe doesn't waste messages. It repeats them until you finally understand. That's why the same types of people return to your life. That's why the same challenges appear in different costumes. Until you see the lesson behind the mask, the play continues. And once you do, everything changes. Not because the world suddenly becomes easy, but because you realize you were never a victim of circumstance. You were a participant in a sacred dialogue. Every heartbreak, every delay, every silence was a teacher in disguise. And those tears you thought were proof of weakness, they were water, preparing the soil for what would one day bloom from your pain. So when you feel lost, when the same wound reopens again and again, don't ask, "Why is this happening to me?" Ask instead, "What is this showing me about myself?" That question alone shifts everything. It takes you from powerlessness to awareness, from confusion to purpose. The universe speaks in mirrors because truth must be recognized, not given. It cannot be forced upon you. It must rise from within, like dawn after the longest night. And maybe, just maybe, this is the sign you were meant to receive today, that you are not cursed, not forgotten, not being punished. You are being shaped by divine design. The breaking was not destruction, it was initiation. The same way the seed must crack to let the light in. There is no external God keeping score, no random chaos deciding your fate. There is only consciousness reflecting back your vibration, your belief, your readiness to awaken. That's why when you shift inside, your world begins to rearrange outside. People leave, new paths open. The timing of life begins to sync with a rhythm you didn't know you carried. You start to see how even your deepest pain was a kind of grace, disguised as chaos. And if you're feeling that resonance right now, that quiet sense that these words were meant for you, it's because they are. There are no accidents in the realm of spirit, only invitations. This is one of them. Take this as your moment of recognition. You were never walking alone. Every unseen force, every unexplained coincidence, every repetition of life's patterns has been whispering, "Wake up, see, remember who you are." If this truth found you today, it means you were ready to hear it. So breathe deeply and let that realization settle into you like sunlight through glass. Because from this point on, nothing will ever appear random again. And if this message spoke to something deep within you, give this video a like. Not for the algorithm, but as a way of saying, "I'm awake." Subscribe, not as a formality, but to join a community of souls who see beyond the surface, who walk together in this hidden circle of remembrance. Because the next sign, the one few ever recognize, is already unfolding. And it's closer than you think. There was a time in my life when I stopped believing in signs. Not because I didn't want to, but because everything around me seemed silent. I remember waking up one morning and realizing I had forgotten how to feel alive. The coffee tasted the same, the days blended together, and every prayer I whispered felt like it vanished into empty air. I had done everything right. I was working, surviving, pretending, but deep down I felt like a ghost living inside my own body. Then, one night, something strange happened. It wasn't dramatic. There were no flashing lights, no angelic voices, just me, sitting on the floor beside my bed, too exhausted to cry anymore. I remember whispering, "If there's anyone listening, give me a sign that I'm not alone." Nothing moved. But then, as I stood up to turn off the light, a small feather, pure white, drifted down from the top shelf. There was no window open, no breeze. It landed right next to my hand. I laughed through tears, telling myself it was stupid to think it meant something. But I couldn't throw it away. Something in me needed to keep it. That night, I placed the feather inside a book on my nightstand, a book I hadn't opened in years. The next morning, I woke up restless, feeling a strange pull to read that same book. When I opened it, a single line was underlined in pencil, written by a younger version of me. Faith is not waiting for proof. It is choosing to believe even when the silence feels endless. That was the moment something shifted. Not outside of me, but inside. It was like a crack appeared in the wall I had built around my heart, and light began to slip through. I realized that signs don't always appear to rescue us. Sometimes they appear to remind us we're still capable of noticing. After that day, I started paying attention again. I noticed how people I barely knew started saying exactly what I needed to hear. How songs on the radio seemed to answer the thoughts I hadn't spoken aloud. How in the middle of chaos, small coincidences appeared like breadcrumbs leading me home. One afternoon, while walking through the city, I stopped at a traffic light. A stranger beside me said quietly, "You look like you're carrying something heavy. It gets lighter, you know." I turned to look at him, but the light changed, and when I looked back, he was already gone. I don't know if he was an angel, a guide, or just a man passing by, but I know his words reached a part of me I thought was unreachable. That night, I wrote a letter to myself, not to fix anything, but to acknowledge everything. The pain, the confusion, the numbness. I wrote until my hand ached, until every unspoken feeling had a voice. And when I finished, I felt something I hadn't felt in years, presence. It wasn't happiness. It wasn't peace. It was simply being here, fully, with myself. And that, I realized, was sacred, because that's what signs really are, invitations to come back to yourself. They appear when you've drifted too far, calling you home without sound or demand. They remind you that the universe is still speaking your name in ways too subtle for noise to interrupt. Now, every time I see a feather, I smile, not because I think it's magic, but because it reminds me of that night I almost gave up. It reminds me that even in the silence, something was listening. And maybe it wasn't the world I needed to hear me. Maybe it was my own soul. I don't share this story to convince you of anything. I share it because I know there are people watching this who are standing in that same quiet place, asking for a sign, wondering if anyone hears them. Maybe you've had moments like that too, moments you couldn't explain but couldn't forget. Maybe you've seen patterns, felt sudden emotions, dreamed of people you haven't met. What if all of that was part of the same language? If any part of this story reminded you of something in your own life, a coincidence, a dream, a moment that made you stop, share it in the comments. Tell me your sign, your experience, your whisper from the universe. I read them all, and sometimes those stories become the spark for our next message here. Because every story is connected. And maybe, just maybe, the story you share will become the sign someone else is desperately waiting for. But there's one more truth hidden beneath all of this. A truth that turns everything we think we know about divine timing upside down. And once you see it, you'll never doubt the signs again. There's a truth few people are ever taught about signs. One that turns confusion into clarity. The second great secret is this: the universe speaks the loudest through what you feel, not through what you see. We spend so much of our lives looking outward for proof, waiting for a miracle, a message, an undeniable event. But spirit doesn't work like that. The divine language isn't written in thunder. It's whispered through emotion. Every wave of sadness, every flicker of peace, every inexplicable pull toward or away from something, those are messages. They are not random moods. They are energetic signals, tuning you like an instrument, guiding you toward alignment or away from danger. You've felt it before, that heaviness that settles in your chest when something isn't right, even when logic says it is. The lightness in your body when you think about a path that excites you, even when fear tells you not to try. Those sensations aren't just biological, they are spiritual GPS coordinates. They tell you when your soul is saying yes and when it's whispering no. Ancient mystics understood this long before science ever named it intuition. They called it the inner compass. In sacred teachings from the East, the energy that moves through the body, the breath, the tingling, the subtle vibration, was seen as communication from the higher self. And in the desert scrolls of early mystics, the heart was described as the eye that sees without needing to look. The second secret is knowing how to interpret this inner guidance. Here's how it works. Every time your soul is trying to guide you, it creates contrast inside you. The moment you think or speak about something that is not in alignment with your truth, your body tightens, your breath shortens. But when something is aligned, when it resonates with your higher path, you feel expansion, warmth, openness. That sensation is the language of your soul saying, "This way." So how do you start listening? Try this small technique. It's simple, but it opens a door that many spend their whole lives ignoring. Sit in silence for 2 minutes. Close your eyes. Let your breath fall into a steady rhythm, not forced, just natural. Think of something small you love. It could be the smell of rain, the laughter of someone dear, the warmth of morning light. Feel how your body responds, the soft expansion in your chest, the calmness in your mind. That's the vibration of truth. Remember it. Now, bring to mind something that drains you. A place, a situation, a relationship that feels heavy. Notice the difference, the tightening, the coldness, the tension. That contrast between lightness and heaviness is your compass. Use it daily, before decisions, before conversations, before you accept anything into your life. Pause and feel. If your soul contracts, it's a sign to pause. If it expands, it's an invitation to move forward. This technique may seem small, but it will change the way you see everything. Because once you begin to trust the signals of your own being, you no longer need to beg the universe for signs. You become the sign. Think of all the times you ignored that quiet discomfort and paid the price later. You knew. You always knew. The problem was never that spirit stopped speaking, it was that you stopped trusting your own translation. When you begin to honor your inner yes and no, life starts rearranging itself around your truth. You'll notice that people who once drained you will slowly fade away. New opportunities will seem to appear out of nowhere. Moments of synchronicity will increase, because the universe finally has a frequency it can match. And here's the secret behind that. Spirit always responds to clarity. When you know what peace feels like, you stop confusing chaos for purpose. When you learn what home feels like inside your chest, you stop chasing it in other people. That is the heart of all transformation. So the next time you ask for a sign, don't look at the sky. Place your hand over your heart. Ask, what are you trying to tell me right now? Then be still. Your body, your energy, your intuition, they will answer in the only language that never lies, feeling. And if you listen long enough, that feeling becomes a current. It starts to lead you softly but unmistakably toward everything meant for you, the places, the people, the peace you thought you'd lost. Because divine guidance doesn't always shout from the heavens. Sometimes it trembles inside your ribs, waiting for you to remember what it sounds like. If this realization resonated with you, take a moment to breathe it in. And if you feel that small pull in your chest, that yes, give this video a like and subscribe to our community of awakened souls. Not because you need to, but because it's your way of saying, I hear it now, I'm listening. Because there's still one more truth, one last hidden sign that lies beneath even this awareness. A sign so subtle, so sacred, that almost no one ever notices it until it changes everything. And when you discover it, you'll understand why you were meant to see all the others first. There comes a moment in every soul's journey when the signs no longer come from outside, because the universe has already placed them inside you. That is the third and deepest revelation. You are not waiting for a sign. You are the sign. It sounds poetic, almost impossible, but once it's felt, truly felt, it changes everything. Every heartbeat becomes a message, every breath becomes a prayer, every silence becomes a doorway to divine understanding. This is the truth, hidden beneath centuries of symbols, scriptures, and science alike. The holy meeting point between spirit and matter, heaven and flesh. For thousands of years, mystics tried to describe it with different names. The kingdom within, the Christ consciousness, the quantum field, the inner light. All of them were pointing to the same reality, that divinity was never separate from you. It has always lived as awareness within your awareness, watching the world through your eyes, breathing through your lungs, learning through your pain. The universe has never been outside looking in. It has been within you, looking out. That's why when you begin to awaken, the world seems to change. But in truth, you are changing, and the world is simply following the new vibration you emit. This is the secret most people miss. The final sign isn't something you find. It's the moment you realize you've been the message all along. Your existence, your endurance, your compassion in the middle of chaos, that is the universe proving itself through you. When Jesus said, "The kingdom of God is within you," it wasn't a metaphor for hope. It was a spiritual equation. What is above is reflected below. What is within creates what is without. Modern quantum physics whispers the same truth with different words. The observer shapes reality. Your focus, your emotion, your belief, they collapse possibility into form. Every thought you entertain is an act of creation. Every emotion you choose is an energetic blueprint. Every heartbeat is both a signal and an answer. And yet, how few ever stop long enough to hear that rhythm? How many continue searching the skies for miracles when the greatest one beats quietly beneath their ribs? The reason you've been receiving signs, feathers, dreams, coincidences, was never to keep you dependent on them. They were training wheels for divine awareness. They guided you until you remembered that the source you've been seeking was never outside of you. The signs fade when the seer awakens. Pause for a moment. Feel your heartbeat. That steady rhythm you hear is not just a biological function. It is the sound of the infinite echoing within a finite vessel. That's how close heaven has always been. And if your soul is trembling as you hear this, that's not emotion, it's recognition. It's the deepest part of you saying, I remember now. If this message stirs something within you, if you feel the quiet truth that this isn't just words on a screen, but a mirror held up to your spirit, take a moment right now to show your support. Like this video and subscribe to our community. This channel doesn't exist for fame or profit. It's built from passion, from love, from the calling to awaken souls like yours. Every like, every comment, every new heart that joins us gives strength to this work, to this movement of remembrance. When you join, you're not just supporting content, you're helping keep alive a space where seekers can remember who they truly are. Because here's the truth. You are not a fragment lost in the cosmos. You are the cosmos realizing itself. You are the spark that carries both the question and the answer. The pain that once felt meaningless was sculpting the channel through which light could enter. And now, as awareness dawns, everything that once broke you begins to shine differently. You start to see how nothing was wasted. Not a single tear, not a single delay, not even the silence of your prayers. That's what awakening really is. It's not an escape from this world. It's the moment you realize this world was never separate from the divine. It's not seeing angels in the sky. It's feeling them in your breath, your choices, your compassion, your courage to keep walking even when it hurts. And once this truth takes root, life no longer feels like something happening to you. It becomes something unfolding through you. Every challenge turns into conversation, every shadow into teacher, every ending into translation of love. Because when you awaken, the universe doesn't become easier, it becomes alive. And everything, absolutely everything, begins to speak your language. But there is one final revelation, one truth that ties it all together. It's the secret that explains why you were guided here, why your soul chose this exact moment to awaken, and what it has been preparing you for all along. It's the reason you've been seeing, feeling, and hearing more than ever before. And when you understand it, it won't just change the way you see life, it will change who you believe you are. Maybe now you understand, the signs were never random. Every whisper, every coincidence, every ache in your chest has been guiding you home to yourself. They were never just moments, they were messages. Not from a distant universe, but from the divine consciousness that lives quietly within you, waiting to be remembered. You were never abandoned in the dark. The silence you mistook for emptiness was the space your soul needed to awaken. And what you called pain was in truth preparation, shaping you into someone who could carry light without breaking. All the signs, the dreams, the delays, the encounters, they were threads of a larger design, weaving you into alignment with your true purpose. Think about it. How many times have you felt something pulling you to pause, to look deeper, to question why you're here, why you've endured so much, why you still feel that flicker of faith even after everything? That's not coincidence. That's destiny unfolding through awareness, because awakening isn't a single moment. It's a series of gentle recognitions. The moment you realize you are loved even when you feel unworthy, guided even when you feel lost, chosen even when you doubt your strength. And each sign you've received, every mysterious intersection in your life, has been a reminder that you are part of something infinite. The truth is simple, yet sacred. Your life itself is the sign. Every breath you take is evidence that the universe hasn't given up on you. It still has plans for you, dreams waiting to unfold through your hands, hearts waiting to be touched by your presence. You weren't placed here to simply survive. You were placed here to awaken others by the way you love, the way you forgive, the way you keep going when others would have stopped. And maybe that's why you found this message today, because it was time to remember what your soul already knew, that there's a reason you're still standing, that even in your weakest moments, you are never walking alone. This community, our community, exists for that reason, to remind one another that none of us are beyond healing and that every journey, no matter how broken, is sacred. So if something inside you was moved by these words, if you felt that strange inner warmth, that whisper of yes, then I invite you to take one small step of connection. Leave a comment below with your name and city, because your story matters. Your name deserves to be spoken with light. And in the next video, we'll send a special greeting to those who share their names, not just as a thank you, but as a way to honor the beautiful souls walking this path together. Give this video a like if it touched you, not for numbers or fame, but as a symbol of gratitude to the universe for bringing you here, right now, in this exact moment. Subscribe to the channel and become part of this growing community of awakening souls. We don't create these messages for profit or popularity. We do it because there are hearts out there, maybe like yours, who just need one sign to keep believing, one reminder that light still exists. And every new soul that joins gives this mission more strength, more reach, more love. You never truly know whose life might change just because you shared your voice, your presence, your name. Perhaps the sign someone else has been praying for is you. So keep your heart open. Keep your eyes soft. Keep walking with faith, even when you can't see the path ahead, because the same force that brought you to this message is already preparing your next miracle. And when it happens, when you see the next sign, you'll smile quietly, because you'll know it wasn't the universe trying to find you. It was you finally remembering who you've been all along. The sign you were waiting for was always you.